Hey girlies, Amber here. Before we jump into the show, I have something for you. That's right, it's a gift, something for free, just to make you feel abundant and wealthy. I put together a super chic, free to download net worth tracker. It's super cute and pretty, and it gets the job done. Listen, I've been tracking my net worth since 2016, and since then, it's grown by 677%. It's insane. And listen, it's not the net worth tracker that did it, but it is my attention to my big financial goals. And seeing it all on paper has given me the laser focus that I need to get really serious about my financial journey. Keeping track of your net worth is one of the most powerful things you can do to take control of your financial life, and I want to help you do that. So this is free to download. You can get it at oldmoneypodcast.com/networth, all one word. Drop your email. It'll get sent to you immediately. You just make a copy. It's in Google Sheets, and you can plug all your numbers in to see what your net worth is today. Again, it's oldmoneypodcast.com/networth. If you have questions about how to use it, go back and listen to episode 35. It's called Tracking Your Net Worth. It's worth its weight in gold because that's what it really is. oldmoneypodcast.com/networth, and let me know what you think. Hello, rich girls. Welcome back to Old Money, the podcast for women building the trust funds they wish they were born with. Today, we're talking about how to actually build that trust fund. I'm your host, Amber Frankusen, and ironically, today's episode is all about entrepreneurial endeavors. And the reason I say that's ironic is because it's 8:50 p.m. I just got back from dinner with Justin, and we just toasted to our failures. I just had one of the hardest days as a business owner. And without getting into it too much, I would say that it's so good that I had this on my schedule to record because it's a reminder not only about why I'm doing this podcast, but why I'm running my business. And a reminder that it does get hard. And, it seems like everything worthwhile is challenging. Raising a family is challenging. Being married is challenging. Running a business is challenging. Being a good person is challenging. And I will say that running a business has stretched me beyond the capacity that I thought to have. And it's also pushed me in interesting directions. Like my boundaries are more strong than they've ever been. My self-worth is better than it's ever been. My mental health is better than it's ever been because I've had to learn how to keep up with the goals that I've set for myself. And I do really believe that entrepreneurship is one of the tokens to a very rich life, not just in the wealth that you can build through this endeavor, but in the self-discovery, in the self-work, and all the things that come along that you just don't even expect. So today's episode's actually been very hotly requested as well. A lot of people have asked me about my journey in starting a business, and I will tell you a little bit about that today. But I also wanted to tell you and make this a value add because this is not about me. I wanted to make this an episode that would be helpful for you if you're trying to start a business, thinking about it. I'm not here to discourage you. Okay, I had one hard day, 365 days a year, 366. Yeah, it's a leap year. So 365 other days this year. It's hard, but it's not this hard. Okay. And it is one of the best things I've ever done. So I'm not here to discourage it. I'm here to encourage it. Because if we think about, and I've mentioned this before, some of the values that I believe really define a rich life. I'm talking about the new rules to old money. I've mentioned this before, but before I even started recording the first podcast episode to Old Money, I sat down and I wrote out 25 values that I believed in. And these were things that, were inspired from old money lifestyles or old money families. And I was like, what can we learn from them to apply to our society today? Because things are different now. It's 2024. If you're listening to this when it drops, the economy isn't what it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 40 years ago. And so we're playing a different game with a new set of rules. And of these values that I wrote down, 2 of them I wanted to reference today that really speak to the value of entrepreneurship. One of them is number 24, which is do what rich people do. Play the game and learn the rules. If we think about it, every very wealthy person that's out there has become very wealthy because of their contributions to a business. When we think about net worth, for example, of Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos or Kim Kardashian or Kylie Jenner, the net worth that, when they make the Forbes list of the next billionaire, Kylie Jenner, as an example, she doesn't have $1 billion in the bank. She has $1 billion of assets that all combined equal $1 billion. And that could mean her real estate holdings. It could mean the money she has in the banks, her investments. It could mean her business ventures. So to give you an example, like Kai, her new clothing line, for example, she probably owns a majority percentage, and it has not just the value of the inventory, the assets in the business, but you could, on the open market, sell that business at a multiplier. So if she had, for example, a software company, those can trade at 8 to 10 times the annual recurring revenue. So if you had a software company that's making $1 million a year, theory says if you shop that around and your business is healthy, you could make $8 to $10 million selling that business on the open market. So when we think about things like that, you have Kylie doing, did you guys see this new like Sprinter drink? It's like a vodka soda canned cocktail. Like, talk about something we didn't need, but okay. She has her lip kits. She has Kai. I don't even know what else she's doing these days. But the idea is that she has $1 billion of total assets of all the things combined, and a big majority of that is the stakes that she has in her business. Now, just as a side note, hysterically, the internet is making me giggle this week because there's this conspiracy theory going around that Kylie Jenner is struggling to sell her home in Beverly Hills amid online speculation that she's broke and living beyond her means. And what's interesting about that is, like, honestly, she could be. Do I think she is? No, I don't think she's living beyond her means, but like, you could for sure be a billionaire in Forbes and be living beyond your means. And the reason for that, of course, is because a lot of her valuation, a lot of her net worth might be tied up in businesses, not be liquid, not be cash that she has in the bank. So anyway, just as an aside, there's this whole theory that, because she first listed her home for $22 million and then took it off the market. Now it's relisted at like $17.5 million in Beverly Hills. Like, oh my God, she's hurting for money. She's desperate to sell the house. I mean, you guys, $17 million for us, like the paradigm of that that's a large amount of money, 100%. Okay. For sure. However, for Kylie, that's probably the amount of money that she spends on maintenance for her homes, like in a year, in 6 months. So it's more so probably about the fact that this asset doesn't serve her anymore, not that she's hurting for money. I think that's kind of ridiculous, but I love to speculate. I love the gossip. It's so funny. Like, whenever a celebrity wants to sell a house or sell a business, people are like, oh my God, they're hurting for money. Things like when you see Elon Musk is selling Tesla stock or Mark Zuckerberg is selling a bunch of Facebook, all of those trades, all of those sales, all of those things that people do are planned well in advance. They're cleared through the SEC. They're cleared through the board of directors of the company. And it's never a fire sale, like somebody's hurting for cash and then they're accidentally like, whoa, I need to get like $15 million of Facebook stock out. Like, that's not how these people operate. But what they are doing is they're very smartly playing the game of building businesses in order to build their net worth. I say it at the top of every show, right? Like, we are building the trust funds we wish we were born with. And I really strongly believe that building a business is the closest thing that you can do for yourself as it relates to building a trust fund. We talked about the valuation, the multipliers, the ways that you can really quickly scale. But the thing that I think is so interesting is that mindset shift of if you're going to be just taking a salary from somebody else, or if you're going to be a creator of value in the marketplace. So that could take on a lot of different forms, really. I mean, again, we talk about the valuation of a business. You could own a candle company, and the candles that you own, that's valuation of your business. Those are assets, that's inventory. You could have ideas, patents, licenses. You could have trademarks. All of the things that you create have value, not just on the open market if you want to sell them, but because they can help other people achieve their goals or solve their problems, whatever it might be. When we think about business, I think it's so interesting, especially for millennial women. We've been on this journey since, early 2010s of this girl boss idea. And Gary Vaynerchuk talks about this a lot. He's actually been talking about it for years, of the fact that it's been very glamorized to be an entrepreneur. Everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. And the reality is that not everybody's meant to be an entrepreneur, because we need leaders and we also need contributors. But no matter where you're going to be in the marketplace, whether you want to start a business or work for one, there's no shame in either game. But I think what's so important is having an entrepreneurial mindset, which doesn't mean that you go out and need to start businesses all the time. It means that you have a mindset for opportunities, for problem solving, for executive leadership, whether it's in business or in your life. And just that extreme ownership around, I want to create something of value. The thing of value that you might create is the best fucking family unit that anybody's ever seen. The thing that you might create is a small dog walking business where the dogs that you love on have never been happier. The value that you create might be something that's so obscure we haven't even thought of it yet, but you saw the opportunity and you decided to go and do it. It's not about taking pictures for Instagram in a blazer. And I honestly thought that for a really long time. I mean, I read the book. I know Sophia Amoroso. I mean, well, I don't know her personally, but actually she's from my hometown. We went to the same high school. Our moms used to work together and know each other very, very well. But this whole energy around the girl boss, the girl wash your face, all the things that we're meant to do as women leaders, it's so interesting to me because I feel like the pendulum has swung so far from girl boss to now we're in like trad wife area. And if you don't know what the trad wife trend is right now, it's this very interesting, I don't want to call it a trend, theory, if you will, that women are most happy. I'm not saying this, that they say women are most happy being traditional wives or being traditionally at home, caring for the family, cooking for the family, raising a farm, having chickens, loving on your pets, whatever that might be. And I think what's really interesting about why this is trending, and, the pendulum's always going to swing back and forth, but like we're burnt out. Entrepreneurship looked very different in 2014. It looked very different in 2018 when, there was hope that women would be getting more funding from VCs and things would be growing faster and the economy was doing really well. And then COVID came and took the wind out of everybody's sails, right? So there have been a lot of challenges that have come up now, and social media is a part of that. Just having to show up all the time on social, having to do all the things is hard. And so no matter where you fall in the spectrum, I hope that you can find some value in the things that I believe to be the difference makers for an entrepreneur, for a small business owner or a startup. I think it's a difference maker though in any part of your life. Because as I said, being an entrepreneur is not just about starting a business. It's about having a mindset for opportunities, creation, forward progress. And that's what we really need. We don't need more girls selling courses, taking pictures in blazers because they're just regurgitating something else that somebody else gave to them. I really look at entrepreneurship as a unique creative expression of my talents, my skills, the things that I'm good at. And then unfortunately for me, on days like today, it feels like there's a lot I'm bad at. And it feels like there's a lot that I struggle with. And it's a really humbling balance and a really humbling experience. So that's my whole tirade on entrepreneur life right now. I think Gary Vaynerchuk has been right all along that it's been glamorized. And I think we need to find the middle ground there. And this is going to be a whole nother episode. I feel it coming, of just being a woman in business and navigating that and navigating working with a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday schedule when we're really better designed to work at different speeds at different times of the month. How to navigate being a woman in business in a male dominated industry, which is something I have a lot of experience in, and navigating that and the challenges that come with it. Being a woman and a mom, being a woman business owner and a mom, excuse me. I mean, there's just so many challenges I haven't even scratched the surface on yet. But I just want to say, I think it's so worthwhile. And I think women are particularly attuned and set up for success in being entrepreneurs because it can be an expression of your greatest talents in a way that supports you financially, that supports you on your evolution, and that really gives you the best opportunity to build that trust fund that we wish we were born with. So with that, really quickly, I want to get into something that I've been asked a lot about, which is how I started my business. And I think what's really interesting about this question, I've been going on a lot of podcasts recently, and let me just segue on that really quick. There are so many amazing women podcasters out there. I want to shout out a few of them really quickly because I've been on a couple of shows recently. The episodes were just fire flames. Like Pookie was looking absolutely fire and I was Pookie on those podcasts. And what happened for me in that, like in all of these different dynamics, was that I was impressed every single time with just the level of presence and just conversational capacity of everybody that I was talking to. I actually think I'm not a great interviewer. I need to work on that skill. But let me shout out a couple people really quickly. I was on The Dance of Growth with Chelsea Christensen. Such a good episode. We really got very vulnerable. I've been on Teak Talks with Jennifer Jacobs twice now, talking all about the business of luxury. Like we got into it. I was so obsessed. I know so many of you are here because of that podcast that you heard me on. So travel advisors, I see you. I love you. I see you in the Instagram. Like shout, give me a little DM if you came here from Jennifer's podcast, because I love you. I want to see you more. I was also on Confessions of a Wannabe It Girl with Marley. And Marley was just, you guys, the freaking cutest ever. But she asked such good questions, like asking for a friend. But if I'm in this scenario, like so good. I was just on How I See It with Hannah Huante. And okay, this girl is the it girl. Like she is everything and more. Interestingly enough, we're actually neighbors. She lives down the street from me in San Diego. She's so much cooler than I could ever be. She's like 10 years younger than me and wiser than hell. I'm obsessed with her. She was so fun to chat with. I get to have drinks with her next week at Reading Club. I'll tell you guys all about it later. I was also on Getting Dressed with Sarah Colas, who is a listener of Old Money. And I'm so happy that we got connected because she is an absolute gem. She is a couture bridal gown designer, seamstress, magician. Actually, she's so talented. Ours was really fun. We talked about style and just the hallmarks of Old Money style and how it ties into what she does. And that was a super fun conversation. And then it was just on The No with Nikki Spo. And that one's going to rock your fucking world, you guys. Like the way that Nikki just pulled some like magic out of me on that podcast. Anyway, commercials for all these other women that are doing incredible things. So if you need content, go check out my Instagram highlights. We've posted where you can find all those different podcasts to listen to. But I just want to shout out the women, entrepreneurs that are creating. I digress. Okay. So anyway, I've been on all these other podcasts and people have been asking me like, what's your story? Like, how did you start your business? How did you become successful? And you guys, it was an accident. I don't know if I can make that any more clear. There was no master plan. There was no like huge epiphany of a thing that I wanted to do and build. I literally left my last job because I was burnt out. I had saved money for 9 months. I interviewed a whole bunch of different places. I can get into that in a different conversation, but I basically figured if I'm going to be struggling here, if I go anywhere else and try to do the same job, I'm going to struggle there. Like I'm going to trade my pain. So I decided to make some pretty drastic lifestyle changes, including getting a roommate for about 2 years, cutting out basically all of my expenditures, living like a pauper for many months to save aggressively so that I would have money in the bank so that I could just live off the lowest expenses possible and just heal and rest. And that's what I did. And so I saved many six figures, like a huge amount of change, because I was just like, I'm going to just take some time off and figure this out. And maybe after 3 months, I'll be able to go back and do a job like that again. I don't know. But right now I just need to take a break. And so I took a break and I got antsy really quickly and I just forced myself to rest. I just forced myself to not do anything. And so I left my job in October of 2018. And by December 8th of 2018, the same year, just 2 months later, I had signed my first contract for social media services for a family friend. And at the time, I just thought, this is cool. I have like an extra $2,000 a month of income. Like this is awesome. Like I'm just going to do social media. And then I did very well for them. And then a friend of mine introduced me to another lead and said, hey, maybe you should help this person with their business that just started. And so I started helping that person with the business and it went really well. And we were really successful and grew and we got her a lot of clients through social media. And I was like, oh, this is really cool. And, I was working really hard on my clients, but I wasn't focused on building a business. I got a business bank account. I figured out from Google how to form an LLC, but I didn't have this master plan of like, I'm going to start a creative agency. I'm going to start a big creative agency. I'm going to really do brands on projects that matter. And interestingly enough, at my previous job, my mentor at the time had sat me down. I was crying in his office over God knows what on a different day. And he had said to me, like, you should just start a marketing agency. And I remember being angry at him. I was disrespectfully yelling. I was like, how dare you say that so flippantly, as if I could just do that? I'm not meant to do that. Like, who am I to do that? I wouldn't know how. And you know what? I didn't know how. I didn't know how. I didn't even know what I was doing at first. You've heard me talk about, I was working on an ironing board with my laptop, and it was kind of bizarre because I was making money happen from just my brain and my laptop. And it was like working and people paid me. It was crazy. And I was like, this is really strange. And then I started to see the magic of what that could be. I started to envision as I healed over time, I started to envision how that company could grow. And interestingly enough, it took me about a year and a half to even figure out that I should hire somebody, what I should do. I didn't make up my first hire until June 2020. So what is that? Like, yeah, a year and a half after I started the company. And again, I was just kind of working. I thought I would had a job. I created another job for myself. But at the same time, I was also going through massive personal development growth. And I was also, probably didn't know this, developing an app. I had a personal development app that I had been working on called the Aligned app. And through the process of playing with this, because it was an app that I needed for myself, I went through a lot of different schools and processes and cohorts and incubators trying to launch this app. So I basically founded a startup. The startup didn't go anywhere. It didn't do anything. The app never got made, but I worked on it for about a year and a half before I really decided like the agency is making more money than this is going to right now. I have resources to get the agency off the ground. I didn't have the resources to build the app. So I decided to just go with the agency. That's the true story. And I just made the decision. But in going through that process, I went through a couple of incubators, like I mentioned. One of them was local to San Diego. They were called Focus Group, FOCKUS. Curling Robinson was the leader. He is such a gem. If you need a connection, if you have a startup, especially if you're in San Diego, this is somebody who I would lay my life on the line for. Like, curling is just so incredible. He ran the program with himself, his wife, and a couple of their business partners. And when I tell you, I learned so much in that group, including selling, pitching, pitch decks, investor structures, so much stuff. I also went through Y Combinator Startup School. And Y Combinator is one of the most exclusive incubators that exists in Silicon Valley. I mean, they've incubated things like Airbnb and DoorDash and a million other companies. Hold on, I will look it up. I'll tell you. Okay, here we go. Reddit, Instacart, Brex, Stripe, Zapier, Gusto, DoorDash, Airbnb. What else is on here? OpenSea. I think I said Brex already. Rippling, Scale AI. I said Zapier already. Is it Zapier or Zapier? Nobody really knows. I don't know. Grub Market, Ironclad, Lattice. So many companies, you guys, and they've all come through Y Combinator. And Y Combinator is an incubator where they invest money in these companies in exchange for equity, but they also give them guidance so that they can be successful. Startup School, at the time, there was an application process for it. I think you can take it online for free. If you are looking for money, if you are looking to start a startup, you must do Y Combinator Startup School. Again, I learned so much. And this was really the crux of my education and how I figured out how to do business, how to do what I'm doing today. I've just been a freaking student so many times. Okay. I just keep going back and learning more. And going through the process of launching that startup taught me so much about lean, efficient scaling, raising money, not raising money, what bootstrapping, like all the things. But also at my previous job, even though, as I said, I was burnt out towards the end of it, I had a chance to go back to school for my master's in real estate development. I got approved, I got accepted, and I decided to not take out the student loans. I decided to not do it. And I just decided to make my job the thing that was going to teach me everything I needed to know. And what that really looked like was I was taking notes in meetings and studying on my own after work. I was watching YouTube videos. I was involved in so many organizations like ULI or BIA or whatever I needed to do in real estate to just get ahead, because I knew I had to treat my current job like my angel investor. I didn't even know what I was going to be investing in yet. I just knew at one point I was going to invest in my rest. And then what I've done over time actually is invested in myself in a very meaningful way, using the income that I made at my previous job to fund my life so that I could start this company. If I had debt, if I had, no savings, I would have just had to get another job. And that's why I think, the whole concept of getting out of financial fight or flight and the concept of saving and doing the things that we say that we're supposed to do, it's the freedom to choose our own path. That's what it gives us. It gives us options. And that's what we're trying to do. So anyway, back to my story of starting this business. As I said, I didn't really have an end game in mind. And it hasn't been until the last maybe 2-3 years that I've really crystallized what I'm doing, why I'm doing it. And yes, I question myself all the time, but there are so many things that I've learned along the way, and I wanted to share them with you today. And I've boiled them down into what I believe to be the 5 difference makers in successful versus unsuccessful businesses. And now I want to just underscore too, your measure of success might be different than mine, as it should be. But what we're not talking about is somebody who's going on social media and touting, oh, I made $1 million this year in revenue. Oh, I hit a 6-figure launch, but they also had a 6-figure expense. Like, this is not the glamorization of the girl boss era. And this is also not the, I want to have a job so that I can retire early type of a thing. Like, this is my process of presence in entrepreneurship and the process of it. And so these 5 difference makers to me have been the things that have propelled me forward. And when I have people come and ask me for advice, they've been the things that I see that aren't getting done or aren't thought about that really lead to a lot of heartache in the process. There's going to be heartache no matter what you do in the process, not to be discouraging. Sorry, you guys, I had a hard day. But the reality is, there are some fundamentals that I think are really important. So let's get into them, okay? The first fundamental that I think is a difference maker in successful businesses versus unsuccessful businesses, something I just mentioned, is that you have to know the rules of the game you want to play, and you have to figure out a strategy to win. That sounds super oversimplified, okay? But here's the thing. You got to study, you got to learn. If you go to business school, like you go to Wharton Business School at Harvard, you just do case studies. Okay. So what that means is they give you these like 20-page reports. It's a case study of a business problem, how they worked through it or how they failed out of it, what happened, who the players in the game were, what the conditions were, how it all worked out. And you have to study it and then apply it to, business practice moving forward. It's theory. It's like, okay, so a really popular case study might be like Starbucks closing all its stores in 2008. And this is something that gets talked a lot about. And people were like, oh my God, is Starbucks failing? And basically Starbucks overextended because they were trying to do too much. And they were literally cannibalizing their stores because there was one on either side of the street. And it just became a mass brand trying to create something exceptional, and it just lost its appeal. And so to keep up, Starbucks was going to have to either cut costs or close stores to basically reposition itself again. And interestingly enough, and I haven't seen this case study yet, but like, haven't you guys seen such a decline in Starbucks since COVID? Like, the milk's not out anymore. There's nothing on the bar. I feel like they're kind of dumpy now. And so in order for Starbucks to stay competitive, they're going to need to pivot, right? That's a case study. It's just an example of one business and how it solved its problems, okay? That is learning. That is stuff that I am learning all the time, and I'm trying to apply it to my own business. And the reason why this is so important and the reason why I've become a freak about case studies is because now I finally have a basic understanding of business. And you guys, I didn't have this when I started my business, okay? I didn't know that there was different types of businesses, like a product-based business, a service-based business, a lifestyle business, a software business, whatever, right? Like a product-based business would be, as the obvious example, like I said earlier, like a candle business or a computer business. Apple's in the product business, right? But they also have software offerings. Well, I'm in the service business. AF Marketing is a service-based brand. We serve people. A dentist is a service-based business. That's something that needs to be rendered to people. You can't just give people new teeth and hand them out on the street and they can pick their size and put them in, right? So that's a really big difference maker in what your margins are, where you're getting your product from, who's doing the product. Like for a software business, for example, you need to have engineers. For a service business, you need to have specialists that do the service, like all these different considerations. I could have started, and maybe I wish I would have sometimes, a product-based business where I could have been teaching people how to do social media as opposed to doing it for them. I could give them a course saying, here's how to grow on social media. Here are the things you need to do. Here are the skills you need to build. Here's how to film a great video. Here's how to record something with a great hook. Here are all the techniques that I know to grow a business online. I could package that, put it in a course. I could do one-on-one, coaching. That would be service again. My point is there's different types of businesses. A lifestyle business is something that's come up a lot. And I think what's really interesting about that is a lifestyle business to me really means that you are the product in a really meaningful way. So like the talent, so to speak. So if you're a content creator and you need to be the one showing up on camera all the time, that's a lifestyle business. And also you need to figure out your exit in a business. Again, this is just like understanding the rules of the game, right? Exits in the business, there's 3 options and only 3 options. You can either shut your business down, you can have a succession plan where somebody takes it over for you, or you can sell it. And if you have a lifestyle business, you're working till you don't work no more. So if you want to just be a content creator, then your business ends when you want to stop working. So how can you scale that beyond yourself? Well, you can create a business to sell, or you can create a business where you have somebody that succeeds you and they can take it over. They can buy it from you, or they can run it for you while you sit on the board of directors or something like that. Also, as it relates to the rules of business, you have to understand money. And I don't mean just in like revenue minus expenses equals profit. I don't mean in just budgeting, understanding expenses and salaries and taxes and benefits. There's a lot of considerations in a business. But what I mean about money is who's giving it to you, how you're generating it, what it means to other people. When you're thinking about funding a company or starting a company, is it going to be privately held, or are you going to sell shares of your stock so that other people can have equity in it? Are you going to get investors? Are you going to have angel investors? Are you going to have capital partners? Are you going to bootstrap it, meaning that you pay for everything on your own? Are you going to have a board of advisors so you can get greener money, as they call it? Greener money means that people that are providing money to you are also experienced in the area in which you want to grow. So they can offer you more than just cash. They can give you advice or connections or referrals or whatever it might be. I didn't understand any of this. I just naturally did what I knew how to do, which was don't spend more than you make and reinvest it into the business, meaning that I bootstrapped my entire company. And for me, looking back, I'm like, gosh, there's probably a lot of times that I've kind of strangled my own growth because of the money that I had at the time of not making the hire that I needed to hire because I didn't feel like I had enough of that money. Or should I have taken a loan out to make this move or whatever? Granted, it all worked out. I'm happy with where I am now, but just not even understanding what my options were or who was available to help me really did hinder my growth at times. Now I have such a clear vision of where I'm going with the business, what I'm trying to do with it. And it's only because I finally better understand the rules of the game and how to play. And I now have a way that I can win. So for me, that's the number one difference maker between successful businesses and ones that struggle, is just an understanding of the game. The second difference maker is having a service mindset. There's a lot of people out there that are just trying to make a buck, that are just trying to, turn a dollar. And that's totally fine. You do you, boo. But the reality is that sustainable businesses, in my opinion, are focused first on adding value. What can you do for the people that are buying from you? A lot of people are saying to me things like, wow, Amber, what you do is so glamorous. You don't have a boss. You're your own boss. And I think what they failed to realize is that I actually have like 28 bosses. All of my clients, all of the CEOs or the people that we work with, the marketing directors, all of my employees, my vendors, they're all my bosses. I am in service to all of them. I focus our energy in our agency in doing work for people in service for them so that we can serve them to help them achieve their goals. Most of the time, the goal is helping businesses get more business. That's what we're in marketing to do, right? But when you start a business, the first thing you have to focus on is how can I add value to somebody and how can I get them to pay me for that value? When I first started, as I mentioned, the first thing that I did was I just did social media and I was good at it. And then I knew that if I just did social media, but then the person who I was promoting on social media didn't have a reputable website for me to lead people to where they could drop their email address so I could collect that, where they could, see a portfolio of work, where they could understand the services, where they could contact the person, I realized I have to start building websites too. And so I learned how to build websites. I built my own. And then I asked a friend, can I build your website for your business? And in that process, I said, here's the things that I'd suggest. What works for you? What doesn't work for you? How do you like this? How do you like that? And then we tested it to make sure that it created more business for him. And I know that it changed his business. It changed his business. It legitimized his business in a very real way. And so for me, I had to focus on serving him. I did not charge him for doing that at all. But then I had the case study that I could take to the next client when I was ready to sell a website and I said, look at what I built for this person. Let me tell you the metrics of how it changed his business and how I can do the same for you. So for me, I was always focused on serving people and then putting them with a solution that was going to help them achieve their goals. And sometimes I was the solution provider and sometimes I had to refer them out. But if I had a service mindset, and I have always had a service mindset, I'm always able to get where I'm going. Because if I'm just focused on helping people, serving people with boundaries, of course, like my price is my price, or, this is the way that I'm here to help you in this capacity. No, I can't run your team for you or manage your people or whatever it might be. But when I'm in a service mindset, the business is always going to be healthy because people always need help with something. And I'm usually the one to plug them in with the other people that can help them or they can get their needs met. And sometimes those needs are not just like practical, like I need somebody to do XYZ. It's like emotional needs, like who can help me make sure my business doesn't fail? Who's going to advise me? Who's going to be the person that I call when things go wrong? A lot of the times that's me. And that does get a little sticky with boundaries and everything. But when you're starting a business, the first thing you have to focus on, and what I believe the difference maker is in successful businesses, are ones that are always focused on serving their client to the highest, absolute highest standard that they can. The next thing that is a big difference maker in business is doing things in the right order. True wealth is not about owning things, it's about owning your time. And what if I told you you could save one day every week? Because I do. Today's show is sponsored by ClickUp, the app that runs my whole company and this podcast. It's an online productivity and project management tool that's so easy to use. We use it at AF Marketing to plan projects, schedule tasks, and manage resources. We collaborate internally on projects. We also loop in outside vendors or contractors, anyone who helps keep project management super streamlined. And this is a hot tip. I have a full Wikipedia of standard operating procedures for every single client, for AF Marketing, for this podcast, all set up in ClickUp, and it makes our lives so much easier by staying organized, delegating tasks, and keeping notes straight. ClickUp is built for teams of all sizes and industries and can be used at work or in your personal life to help you get more done in less time. It replaces all of your unorganized work apps and brings your tasks, docs, goals, chats, and more into a single shared workspace. We are obsessed, if you can't tell. And if you're ready to upgrade your life and business, ClickUp is the tool you need. To support the show, please use the link in the episode notes or on our website under special offers. And it's going to take you right to a to-do list template so you can play around with ClickUp. All you need to do is set up a free workspace, just confirm your email, try it out, make one task and see how it feels to be on the road to organization. There are a ton of free templates for your personal life, your side hustle, or your business. Or if you're employed by someone who doesn't use ClickUp, take ownership of your own career and use it to get yourself ahead and get that raise, baby. And here's the best part. ClickUp is free forever. So just use that link in the podcast notes or on our website to set up a free account, verify your email, create one task. And if companies like Uber, Google, and AF Marketing are using it, you'll be in good company. If you do move forward and upgrade to a paid plan, use the code OLDMONEY to get 20% off unlimited and business plans for the first year. That's code OLDMONEY at checkout, all one word, OLDMONEY, to save 20%. Save one day every week and get more done with ClickUp. Now, I just mentioned a couple of these concepts to you in practicality of how I started my business, but there's a couple of new terms that I want to talk about, like the MVP and product market fit. MVP in this case does not mean most valuable player. This is not a Michael Jordan, Larsa Pippen, Marcus Jordan situation. This is about the minimum viable product. MVP is a minimum viable product. What that is, it's the easiest way, the one most simple thing that you can focus on doing first, the smallest thing that you can build that somebody will buy from you. For me, as I mentioned, my MVP was social media marketing management. I had a very small package, very small scope. I said, this is what I can do for you per month. It was one thing. I had one offering. Then when I mastered that, I could expand into trying on websites. The MVP, a good example of this is Amazon. Amazon started as just an online bookseller. That's all that they did. They mastered that. Then they went into the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. When you have an MVP, you need to think about building a skateboard before you start building a Cybertruck. It's what's the simplest thing that has four wheels that's going to get me from point A to point B. The Cybertruck might be made out of metal. It's probably rusting in the rain. It's powered by a battery. I don't understand. My point is that the skateboard is the MVP, and that's the first thing that you want to build. Once you build that, you need to sell it. And you don't have a business until you sell something. That's the fact. If you have something that you're doing for a hobby and nobody's buying except for your mom, that's not a business. A business is pure and simple, exchanging goods or services for compensation. So you need to find customers and you need to find what's called product market fit. So a lot of times people are like, I'm going to build this thing, I'm going to take it to market, and if I build it, they will come. And this is not Kevin Costner's Field of Dreams. This is not how business works. Most of the time, when people build something and they don't consider who their target audience is, or they don't put themselves in their shoes, they don't know what their budgets are, their values are, their concerns are, what their needs are, then the product fails or the service, right? So the best way to go about that is to understand who your customers are and know deeply what they need from you and be able to give it to them. And this is where I come into with just a little sidebar thing. I really believe that starting on third base in your career when you want to start a company is the best way to go. I see a lot of people starting businesses very young, which is admirable, impressive, 100%. But when I mean young, I don't mean with age, I mean just an experience. They haven't actually worked with the decision makers, the buyers, the big dogs, the fat cats, so to speak, on who would buy their product at the end of the day. And so they don't have the experience or the worldviews or the considerations that their customer does. And so they have a miss in the product market fit. Think about it this way. If you're 20 years old and you want to sell a business solution, you're probably only going to have other people buying from you that have the same level of experience of you. And this is not a knock on 20-year-olds. It's just the reality that when you've been in business for 40 years and now you're 60, what you're spending money on, what you're buying, what you're invested into, whatever it is that you need, your paradigm is going to be so much broader than maybe somebody who's never worked in your industry for a good amount of time can even address, because they're a minute out of high school or a minute out of college and they don't have the 40 years experience to know what it is that you need. I see a lot of people being super successful in business when they're able to parlay the experience, the information, the knowledge they get at previous jobs in previous very niched industries, and then parlay that into giving the customers exactly what they want because they saw a gap in the market and they have certainty that they will have product market fit. When you do things in the right order, that means you are building an MVP, you're selling it, you're getting customers, you're confirming product market fit, you basically get money, you iterate, you reinvest, you build the next thing. In a minimum viable product, that's one service, it's one product, it's one thing, you nail it. When you have product market fit, that means somebody other than your mom is buying this and they're buying it regularly and they're happy with the service because there's a need. When you do things in the right order, It helps you not make mistakes like I see all the time, especially in my business, people coming to me asking for new branding when they don't even have a good product. No amount of marketing is going to fix having a bad product or service. If you are trying to start a company and you're thinking about what your Instagram page is going to look like, what your branding should be, your logo, your colors, that's all very fun. And I love that. I mean, that's what we do for our jobs at AF Marketing. It's so great. But it's not the first thing you need to focus on. The first thing you need to focus on is getting a very simple product to market and getting money for it. Then you can start branding, having a website, start making money. I see a lot of people do things in a backwards way. And you might say, well, I have a candle business. I have to sell candles online or else how am I going to make money? I have a fabric company, a furniture company. I need a Shopify site. No, you don't. What you need first is a product, and you need to have people that want to buy that product. And you need to, over time, get yourself onto third base in this industry so that you can direct people to your website when it's time for them to buy online. So doing things in the right order ensures that your business will be healthy. You're focused on providing value. You're focused on building an MVP, and you're ensuring that you have product market fit, because until you have a customer base, you'll iterate over and over and over again until you can figure it out. Then you can move on to the next thing. And more than likely, branding, website, all that type of stuff can come later. There's so many companies that I know. In fact, we just built a website for a good friend of mine, an old colleague, who's managing $1 billion in assets right now. And they didn't have a website. And they came to us and said, hey, could you build us a website? Because we don't look legit to our capital partners and we need to prove that we're a real company. And I said, we're on it, no problem. But they're managing $1 billion in assets. They have a team of, I don't know, a dozen people working for them. They're all over California, Las Vegas, I think Arizona as well, doing massive construction projects, no website. And you want to know what? It doesn't matter because they're getting paid. They're focused on serving the clients. That's what the focus is. And the website can come later. You don't even need a business card, believe it or not. Okay, number 4 thing that I think makes the difference in a successful business are a set of skills that nobody talks about. Do you guys remember that movie Taken, Liam Neeson, where he's like, I have a special set of skills that I will hunt you and I will find you? I think about this all the time, like all the time, like in my Liam Neeson voice. And also that movie is so fucking scary. Like, guys, be safe in Europe. But anyway, Liam Neeson voice, the skills that nobody told you needed to have to start a business. And I'm learning these all of the time. Okay. The first one that nobody taught me about was emotional regulation. Holy cow, you guys, being in business is a roller coaster. Like days like today, I had a really hard day. And I still have to show up for my team, for my clients. I worked on a strategy project for like 6 hours today, just jamming, like got my lo-fi music on. I had to continue to work because even though stuff went off the rails, I had to figure out how to ride that wave. I heard this great analogy from Hannah. She is the founder of Prime Collective. I love her. I got to work with her via my business coach, and she was at the retreat that I was in Dallas recently. I think it was her that was talking about it. Maybe it was Jessica Marks. I forget. Anyway, the emotional regulation as a skill is essentially like pretend you're on a roller coaster and it goes up and down and up and down, and like draw that on a piece of paper, right? The up, the down, the highs, the lows, the peaks, the valleys. If you are riding that roller coaster and you're at the peak, you're at the valley, you're at the peak, you're at the valley, it just fucks you up for the next day or the next thing. What you have to figure out how to do is as the business is going up and down on that roller coaster, the swirly line that you draw on your page, you are the line that goes straight through the middle of it. It's one line that goes straight through the middle, and that's emotional regulation. It's not getting too high in the highs and not getting too low in the lows. And it's the key to maintaining good, healthy leadership, not just for your business and your team, but for yourself. You are not tied to the value of your business. Your self-worth does not equal your net worth, but your ability to emotionally regulate will change the game for you if you can do that. And it's something I'm working on all the time to just move on to the next thing, because that's the next skill that I think nobody really tells you about, which is making decisions quickly and trusting yourself. I make 1,000 decisions a day. It's exactly why Steve Jobs wore his freaking turtleneck every day, while Mark Zuckerberg wears a zip up. I'm thinking about going that route because just having to make an extra decision of what to wear, how to do my hair, if I should wash my hair, how long of a dog walk I need to go on, if I should meditate or not, I have to stop making decisions. So now I have non-negotiables. Like I do meditate every day. It's a non-negotiable. I do work out 3 days a week. It's a non-negotiable. I don't say no because the more decisions I can eliminate for my life, the more power I have to make better decisions where it matters most. You have to be able to make decisions. If you cannot figure out what sweater to wear before you go to a dinner, you need to practice working on that skill. It's a muscle that you can build. Make a decision and know it's going to be okay. Because if you get to the dinner and you have too light of a sweater, you'll ask to sit inside or under a heater. And if your sweater's too heavy, you'll take it off. And you might be uncomfortable for a little bit. And it's going to be okay because you're still going to eat, you're still going to drink, and you're going to come home and it's going to be fine. And that's the way that I have to start looking at decisions. Like I have to make decisions more quickly. And the more quickly I make decisions, the faster I move in a direction. And if I need to make a different decision later, I'll do that and it'll be okay. The next skill that Liam Neeson never told me that I needed to have was delusion. Yes, I know this is a big trend right now, but having the confidence and the optimism and the absolute delusion to like keep drinking my own Kool-Aid, to knowing that I'm going to continue, is the antidote to fear. It's the antidote to everything. And the more confident I am, and the reality is, you guys, and I've said this for years, I heard this from an old mentor radio host that I've followed forever, Rob Williams from Rob, Arnie, and Dawn. If you're from NorCal and you know, he used to say, nothing breeds confidence like success, and nothing breeds success like confidence. And if you can have a win, it'll make you feel good about what you're doing. And when you feel good about what you're doing, you'll create another win. That's just how it works. And so just trying to hype yourself up, be your own hype girl, and just have the optimism, the faith that as you make these decisions, as you move through all the things that you have to do in business, it's going to work out. And if it doesn't work out, it's not over, or you can make a different decision later. You just have to be okay of continuing to step forward. The more confidence, delusion, optimism that I have, the better leader I am, the better service provider I am, the better I am to myself. Okay. And then the other thing is tenacity. You know, this game is a marathon and there's no such thing as a failure until you just decide to throw in the towel. Now, I think this is a controversial take, and I will say in defense of my partner who has been on this marathon with his job for much longer than a human should be, just workload wise. The way I've been talking to Justin about it, it's like when you're on a marathon, when you're running a marathon, right? You've trained for it, you're capable of doing it, and you need to get water and you need to eat those nasty gel packs and have a couple snacks here and there, and you continue. But there does need to be a time where if you're going to be a marathon runner, you need to take a break after the marathon and rest so that you can do it again. So it's not about not resting. It's about not quitting. It's about if you decide to be a business owner, you've also decided to be in some way, shape, or form a marathon runner, like a person, a crazy person who runs marathons for fun. Could never be me. I hate running. But that's kind of the point. And I don't hate running a business at all. I love it. I love my team. I love our clients. I'm so grateful to do what I do. But it is about choosing to continue to lace your shoes up every single day and go out and train for the next one. And there's been so many things that I've started and stopped. I mean, just the reality is doing this business has given me the self-confidence that I can do anything. I know that I can get through anything. The hardest things in my life I've been going through in the last, call it 9 months to a year. And I know I'm going to be fine because I have the confidence, the delusion, the optimism. And I also just have the tenacity to continue to lace up my shoes and continue to go to work. And it's, one of those things where I know there's going to be things that I don't know. And I have the confidence in myself that I will continue to figure them out. They say next level, new devil. It's always going to be another challenge, another thing. And I've just decided to continue to bet on myself. And I think that is the difference in a successful business leader and one who's not successful. Is something shakes the confidence. And I know there's a lot of things in the world and circumstantially that can do that to us. But I beg of you, get your hype team, Get your girlfriends, get your dog, get your mom, have them cheer you on, because these skills that you have to learn, emotional regulation, tenacity, confidence, also sales. I didn't mention that, but I think sales is a really important skill. I love sales. We can talk more about that later. Anyway, that's a difference maker. All of these skills that nobody taught you about. The last difference maker, and this is a short and sweet one, talked about this a lot on How I See It with Hannah. It's execution. The biggest difference maker in businesses that succeed versus ones that don't is execution. And this is true no matter if you're an entrepreneur, if you're an aspiring entrepreneur, if you're in the corporate game, if you're a mom, if you're managing a house. The difference is taking action. We have a lot of resources out there. You're listening to one right now. This is a podcast. There's books, there's coaches, there's advice. You have to implement it. That's the biggest thing. I took a lot of advice for a really long time. I had a lot of great notes. I had a lot of great ideas, and I didn't do anything with it. And when I didn't do anything with it, it didn't make me any money. And when I didn't do anything with it, I didn't serve anyone. I mean, a big part of the reason why this podcast exists is because I have the ideas that I want to put things into the ether to be of service to you, to my amazing network, I saw today, guys, we have 15,000 unique listeners of Old Money, 15,500 unique listeners who have tuned into this podcast. I don't even know 1,500 people in my life, 15,000 random people in the world. We have listeners in every country. Well, probably not every country. That's not true. Lots of people in Canada, UK, Australia. Hey, also Germany and Belgium. Lots of you guys there. So say hello to me if that's you in those countries. I love you for being here. But that's 15,000 people that hopefully maybe felt a little inspired to spend some time putting together an investment portfolio or starting a business, or felt jacked up after listening to this on a morning walk with their chow chow. Maybe there's another me somewhere in like Germany walking around with a chow chow thinking about starting a business. Like, girl, it's all of us doing it together. The difference is doing it, executing, taking the action. That's the biggest difference maker. It could be in saving your money. It could be in cutting up your credit cards. It could be in breaking up with the bad boy, whatever it is. The difference in making your life happen and the difference in making a successful business happen is execution and taking action. I love that whole analogy of like, if you do nothing every single day, then nothing changes. But if you do 1% difference over every day, your growth is exponential. It's how compound interest works. It's how change works. And if you know that you have the faith in yourself to pivot and make a different decision later, executing is no big deal. You just take action. You just move forward every single day. This was a hard day in business for me. It was a very hard day. And maybe one day I can tell you about why, but I can't tell you that today. But I can tell you that doing this podcast has brought me back to life. I'm so appreciative. If you're still hanging on with me at the end of this episode, I want to say thank you for being here. I'm, as much as I can be, an open book, but when there's privacy involved, I won't tell you everything. But if you have questions for me about starting a business, please let me know. I'm telling you here first. I haven't actually told anybody this yet, but very special project is in the works. And it is a commitment to serving our business owners and aspiring business owners out there. And I'm starting a second podcast-ish thing because I have a lot of amazing clients who have amazing team members who need guidance and knowledge and ideas, whether it's a trend report of what's happening on social so that you know what to post, what's trending, what's not trending anymore, who's pooky, why people think Kylie Jenner's broke, whatever it is that relates to your business. Also, just the basics like sales, like how to pre-book appointments in a really loving way so that you have security around your schedule, how to build your repertoire of sales online, how to create an online course, like all the things that I've learned how to do over time, how to market something, how to go viral on social media, or how to just grow on social media, or what to do in the DMs in order to get new business. All the things that are business, it's actually really something we're creating for our existing clients and the people that maybe aren't ready to work with us at AF Marketing, but that we could still serve. So if that's you, let me know. If you're a business babe, let me know. If you've swung on that pendulum from girl boss to trad wife, let me know where you're at. Let me know where the sourdough recipes are. I love you guys so very much. I'm on a mission to make us all so rich. And if you have friends that you think would benefit from this episode or any other, it would mean the world to me if you shared Old Money with them, whether it's by posting it on your story, sending it to them in a text, asking them to subscribe. There's also a lot of people out there that are listening but aren't subscribed. So if you're not subscribed, please smash that subscribe button so that we automatically download to your phone every single week, because I love you. I want to be in service to you. Let me know what I can do to help, and I'll talk to you so very soon. Thank you so much. Have a good one. Feeling rich? I hope so. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Old Money. If you have questions you want answered, email me at oldmoneypodcast@gmail.com or hit us up on social. We are at Old Money Podcast, and I am at your service. If this episode spoke to you, inspired you, helped you, if you took a single note, it would mean the world to me if you could please just take a minute to rate and review the podcast. And if you're not doing so already, subscribe. And if you have friends who like getting rich, please share this episode with them, even if it's just on your Instagram story. And I'd love you more than Jeff Bezos loves Amazon Prime. Thank you so much, and I will talk to you on the next episode. Remember, I'm not your lawyer, I'm not your tax professional, and I'm not your financial advisor. The content presented in this podcast is intended to entertain, educate, inspire, and support listeners in their personal and professional development and does not constitute business, financial, or legal advice. In addition to that, this episode may contain paid endorsements and advertisements for products and services.